All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 325 of the First Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, and today is going to be a really different show. I'm not really much going to talk about much of Georgia Southern or Atlanta Falcons football. It's pretty much it kind of sucks right now, to be honest with you. I mean, look, we all know what happened this weekend, and it is really, really unfortunate. And not only on top of that, the way the media or certain people in the media responded. It was kind of gross, but we're going to talk about a little bit of that. And also we're going to talk about what the people on our end, the small guys that do this type of stuff. I'm going to talk about how I think what makes us better, I'll say better, and I'll say what separates us from the rest. So we'll get into that. If it's your first time here, welcome to the First and Frame Rate Show. I'm VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern football and Atlanta Falcons football. But after the passing of Dwayne Haskins, we're going to have the start of the week is going to be a little bit different. We're going to really get into, just why we do what we do. As far as, me making this content and doing the things I do to make this content and why I feel like it's important for me to do so. So we're going to get into all that. If you want to listen to the audio side of this, or if you're on the audio side, I can be found on YouTube or Rumble. And if you, like I said, the audio side is on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google. If you want to donate, all the links are down in the description, and we will get this rocking and rolling. All right, like I said, you know what happened to Dwayne Haskins. You saw some of the backlash. Well, I can say the backlash, but the responses of certain people. Adam Schefter and Gil Brandt did not make a really good assessment of what was going on, and decided to be a little bit negative. There's other people responded pretty much in kind, and for most on one accord. You had most people saying that, people like Adam Schefter or Gil Brandt basically look at, athletes as, just straight athletes, not necessarily as people. And it's really unfortunate because this society in general, and I don't want to get too far down this weeds, but I'll just say the statement. Society in general gets blinded by things when things are just too good to be true, or just too good in general. When you constantly get, a good thing all the time, you kind of lose sight of what's there. Now, what I mean by that is we have a really good thing with the sports world. I mean, we're very spoiled. We get tons of sports information, tons of sports, broadcasting. You get all that stuff so much, and analysis of it, that we forget that, hey, these people are human. And I'm not trying to say that, we're all guilty of it, but I will say this, that what happened with Adam Schefter and Gil Brandt is not necessarily, it's not really an outlier. You have a lot of people, mainly in the bigger forms of media, who really just don't think of, players as players. Players as humans. You don't. Some people just look at it as, hey, they're going to give me entertainment, and that's all it is. It kind of shifted a little bit with more of the social justice stuff, with the whole more than an athlete thing. People start to wanted these people to say more things that are, I say more relatable to the average person. But, most of that was kind of agenda based, but, that's another story for another day. But when you look at somebody who lose their life so young at the age of 24, and the first thing that you want to talk about is their struggles, or you want to talk about the negative side of what they've done, a lot of people try to say that, oh, is it true or not? Yeah, it may be true, but there's a time and place for everything. You know what I'm saying? You don't really want to, and I don't want to make it sound like kind of bad or anything, but you don't want to kick a person when they're down. You know what I'm saying? You celebrate someone's life when their life is ended. If you want to talk bad about them after the fact, okay, fine. I'm to be honest with you, if you want to talk bad about them throughout this entire time, that's fine. But the repercussions of it, it's like ethically wrong. And like I said, this is not just a thing that goes to just Adam Schefter or Gil Brandt. Now, Adam Schefter has a laundry list of things that he's done that's insensitive to, that he said that was kind of insensitive to athletes. But, I don't want to be a thing to bash on him. But you see a lot of people in bigger media really just don't take into consideration of certain people's situations. or when they do that, the first thing they think of is the negative side of things. And I think this one thing I want to flip this and say this is why the smaller media people like me and other ones that are on YouTube or other forms of broadcasting, as far as the podcast side of things, who people just do broadcast through podcasting, or they may do it through TikTok or whatever the case may be, Instagram. They find their lane in that area, and people who do it on the video side, YouTube, Rumble, or Vimeo, or any of those other places. This type of media mainly just does, we focus on the celebration of our teams. We do get passionate about our teams or whatever, but we never get in a situation to where we have to paint a broad brush over an entire league. One thing I don't like about that is because when you try to paint a broad brush and cover the entire league, you don't have any sense of indirect biasness. Because I don't want nobody to be completely biased, but for me, I'm biased. I cover Atlanta Falcons and Georgia Southern football. But it condenses everything so you would know how passionate I feel about that team, to the point where I don't have a problem, being critical of the team. Some people can't be critical of teams because they don't want to burn a bridge, or whatever the case may be. You got to toe the corporate line. So that's what happens when you're in these bigger areas. Like the smaller medias that like us, we don't necessarily have to do that. So even if we are talking bad about somebody, we know that we basically know how to do it. Now, I can't speak for everybody, but we know how to do it in a fashion where it comes off as a form of passion instead of a form of being smug or just being disrespectful or being nasty. So like with this whole situation with Calvin Ridley, we was talking so, down about him, but it's because we really care. It's not because we truly dislike him. And if we do dislike a person that was once on the team, it's going to be known, but it'll never get to the point where the person is down and out or they're not living anymore. And we end up talking bad about, we won't do that. But even when you paint a broad brush, you have to be somewhat objective. And it kind of sucks because you don't really know how to show some form of compassion, I guess. I guess that came off right. I hope it did. Because at the end of the day, we love sports, but we got to understand who's playing the sports. These are gifted human beings that has talent that we would die for. And I think that's something that people don't really think about. Some people people think they're just people that are gifted. They just walk up and just do what they do. Now, there are some people that are outliers that are really, really that talented, that just so gifted that they could just wake up and shoot a 3-pointer without not even thinking about it. Or they'll just, they could throw a ball 50, 60, 70 yards without even, not even, putting any effort to it. But it is still hard work at the end of the day. It's hard work to even make it as far as Dwayne Haskins did. Yeah, he had his ups and downs, but at the end of the day, he was a wonderful, he's a wonderful guy. Yeah, he had some issues here and there, but who don't? We all have our demons in our closets. Some of them are not even in the closet, but we have them. And even when we do, there's always a time and place to talk about that stuff. Now, I'm going to flip to what the media possibly could have learned. I think the sports media could have learned to the fact that they can learn to be more grounded. They could learn to be more attentive of what's going on. They could basically just read the room and understand that, hey, maybe I need to get out of a journalistic mode just for 3 seconds and think before I put something out there on social media or write this column or whatever. And I think that's the main thing, is that people are so worried about being first, and sometimes they may not be wrong, but it just doesn't come off correctly because you're trying to be so fast. Like over here, I said it on social media. I said it on Twitter the other day. People like us, we're not really worrying about being first. We just want to be correct and concise for our fan base. I want you guys to respect me for knowing what I'm talking about. I also want you guys to respect me for not knowing everything and learning from you guys. I did a live stream not too long ago. I had no idea Grady Jarrett was Jesse Tuggle's son. No idea. But I'm humble enough to not try to sit here and be like, oh, I know it all. Y'all don't know nothing. Shut up. Just because I'm on the microphone and behind a microphone and in front of a camera. I think that's one of the beautiful things about this type of media on YouTube or whatever. And I love the fact that I have that relationship with my listeners and my viewers. The fact that we can all come together to learn together. We don't have to be talking at each other. We talk with each other. Talk to each other. And I think that's the disconnect that a lot of these journalists in the world media, the big boy media, don't have. They don't have that connection to where they don't understand the people that they're feeding information to. They're just happy to see likes and retweets. You know. And that's really unfortunate. I am a really big fan of radio. And I listen to some guys on radio, and I think that's like the second best avenue to get sports information. Because some of those guys do a phenomenal job, and only on that they still have that connection with the people that are listening. Television don't have that anymore. Social media definitely don't have that. They don't have a connection to the folks that they're serving. And I think that's something that, sports media, the big media, can learn, is that you got to have that connection with the people, so when things like this happen, you will still be grounded to have some empathy with people who tragically lose their life. When you have that connection, then you would know that, hey, this ain't right. Before you press in, okay, this ain't right. Let me take another 2 minutes to rewrite this. And I might not be the first person to put this up. Or maybe I am the first person to put it up because I'm the only one that got this news. Let me put it out correctly so it'll be respectable. It'll be professional. And most of the people could take it all in as far as being an acceptable what's the word I'm looking for? Just being being acceptable information that comes across the wire. Because what Adam Schefter did and what Gil Brandt did, especially what Gil Brandt did. I mean, he was on one of those avenues that I said that works. He was speaking where you can have that dialogue or you can have that better connection. He was speaking it out about the things that he said about Dwayne Haskins. It was just disgusting. I just don't get it. I don't understand how not get it. Well, I kind of do. Because, see, older people don't like to hold their tongues, to be honest with you. They don't. And Gil Brandt's like, what, 90? 89, 90 years old? So he's going to have he's an older person. Does it excuse it? No, but we know how, if you had any elders in your life, you had any elders in your family, you know how it goes. You know that they're going to be saying, these other people are going to be saying some things that's out of whack. I don't think it's going to be to the extent that what he said about Dwayne Haskins, but they don't bite their tongue. But at the same time, it's like, now now you learning a lesson because that type of rhetoric don't fly anymore. This is not the 60s. It's not the 70s. You can't just say stuff like that no more. But, unfortunately, it had to be exposed. It had to be. Because trust me, I know this happens way more than often. I know it happens more. And like I said, that's why I didn't just put it up to those two people. I'm sure that other people in the media talk like this about our athletes. And it's a shame. That's one thing I'll never go against or never say. I never talk down to any of these guys that are playing sports. I mean, I can imagine the pressure that they have to do that job. Even though they're very gifted and they're talented, so many people are looking up to them to perform at a high level. And they say that it doesn't bother them. They just go out and do that's hard for me to believe. I believe that they're under a lot of pressure all the time. And just to perform at a high level, I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine how they do it. So I always uplift any athlete. If you put on a uniform, you go out there and play, I'm going to try my best to uplift you even when you're at your lowest moments. Now, I'll talk about how bad you did something, but I'll never talk about how bad the person is. You know, you got some guys that are athletes that are pure idiots. I know they are. You got some out there that just don't want to deal with fans. I'm talking about in all sports. I know there's some out there. You can't tell me all the athletes just love all the fans. No, some of them don't want to be bothered. I respect that, and maybe they do have an instance where they talk down to their fans or whatever, because sometimes they're just not in the mood. But you know what? I kind of understand it. I don't condone it, but I understand it. But I always uplift these guys because at the end of the day, they're giving us something, a form of entertainment that I love. I love watching football. I love watching baseball. I love watching basketball. It's one of the most beautiful things that you can see on television. Guys who are, pushing the limits of their bodies to be the best that they can be. Some of the things that you see on the field, on the court, on the pitch, on the baseball diamond, the things that you see these guys do on the golf course. It's just so amazing what a human body can do. Male, female, doesn't matter. They do a phenomenal job at sports. The last thing you need to do, to be honest with you, the last thing you really need to do is talking down to somebody, especially after they pass. I'm not saying sit there and worship these guys, but at the same time, it's like, why would you have a reason to bash one of these players unless they've done something to you personally? What did Dwayne Haskins do to Gil Brandt? What did Dwayne Haskins do to Adam Schefter? I just don't get it. That's just, like I said, I go back to what I'm saying. This is why I love what these kids at Georgia Southern are all about. I mean, you talk about really high standard guys. Most of them are high standard. Now, we had some issues. Some guys fell out of character, but that's life. Like I said, that's life. Everybody is not a saint. But, it happens. But I never talk down to them or talk bad about them. Kicking them when they down. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, I love what these guys stand for at Georgia Southern. In Atlanta, I don't know all the players in Atlanta like now. I don't know all the players at Georgia Southern. But the guys in Atlanta, you don't hear nothing crazy about them. Maybe some I don't want to play football related stuff. You see Calvin really doing what he doing, like, all right. Now, we had some run-ins, and but they're flawed people. You condemn them when it's time to condemn them. But for the most part, we got some all right people here. I think we got some all right people for the most part in the NFL. You always want to hear about the negative of who's getting arrested, this, that, and third. Like I said, there's nothing you can do about it. They're human. It's a time and a place to talk about that kind of stuff. And what happened to Dwayne Haskins, that definitely was not the time. And I hope that the media has learned something out of this. Because to be quite honest, this YouTube thing, this Rumble thing, this podcasting thing now, is getting more popular and popular. People don't watch these televisions anymore. People don't watch these TVs anymore like they used to. People are on these phones. People are on their computers. People are on their tablets. They search for people like us for information now. They on social media looking for information. And if you're not doing your job correctly, they'll just go off and get their information from someone else. So we, as the small media, we have a chance to do something big. We just continue to do what we do. And hopefully we continue to get the support that you guys give us. I really appreciate it. If you like this content, hit the like button, share this content, subscribe to the channel, help us grow. Not just me, but all the other small media out here that's on these platforms. I can be listened to on YouTube or watched on YouTube. I could be watched on Rumble. I can be listened to on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google. If you want to donate, the links are down in the description. Take heed to your favorite teams. Even if one of my teams aren't your favorite teams, go look at that. I'm pretty sure everybody across the YouTubes or the podcast avenues are talking about every team that you can imagine in some shape or form. Give them some props. Give them some accolades. It's not easy out here doing what we're doing, but at the same time, we try our best. We really do. Even though some of us are very arrogant, some of us are really shy at doing this, some people are just in the middle of the road, it's tough. And we appreciate the support. I'm going to get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. Keep the Haskins family in your prayers. I'll be back on Tuesday with another episode. I thank you guys. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.